Hello and welcome to The Print. I'm Ishadrita Lahiri. Joining me behind the camera is my colleague Pooja Kher. And we are interviewing today Mr. Praveen Chakravarty, AICC Chairman of the Data and Analytics Department. And we will be discussing the Chintan Shivir of the Congress, which got over last week. It was a 3-day event. And after that, the party adopted the Udaipur resolution. Now, from Mr. Rahul Gandhi's speech, sir, there was one thing that he said very clearly, which is that the party needs to connect with the people. And I believe, during his speech, one of the phrases he said is that we need to go back to the Congressy style, which is going on the ground and connecting to the people. So, specifically in terms of your department, which is data and analytics, there were certain organizational changes that were proposed. So if you could just tell us about that.
Yes, as you said, the Chintan Shivir was about introspection, and then first diagnosis, and then a prescription, and what do we need to be able to correct ourselves, right? And Mr. Gandhi and the entire party, the 400 leaders that were assembled, I think were fairly unanimous in the diagnosis of the problem, which is we may have lost some of our connect with the people. So that was the diagnosis of the problem. Now, what is the prescription for that? What is the treatment for that? The treatment for that was first, go back to the people. Second, listen to people. Third, fight for people's issues. Go back to people. How are we going to do that? That is the Bharat Jodo Yatra. Go back to people. Connect with them. Listen to people. By listening, by that we mean not just listen to people's issues, listen to people's feedback on various matters. And that, I believe, is through a new department called the Public Insight Department, which is listen to people for decisions that we will take on a daily basis in articulating the party stand, making decisions on leaders, on organizational changes, get people's inputs, and that is through the Public Insight. Now, fight for people's issues is the core issue is one of harmony, social harmony. And that we believe is a fundamental issue in today's India. To reclaim the idea of India, we're going to fight for people's issues on harmony, because harmony is the edifice of almost everything that this nation stands for, including economic development.
If you could just delve into the Public Insight Committee a little bit, what exactly is the brief of this committee? Over the conversations that Mr. Markan had during his briefing at the Chintan Shivir and also in the declaration, what has been put in the declaration, it seems like this is a committee that is going to have regular kind of surveys to figure out, to gauge what people are thinking about various issues and kind of give that feedback to the leadership. Is that what's going to happen? What is the brief that's given to this committee?
Yes, so the Public Insight, the idea behind Public Insight Department, like I said, is simply put, listen to people. And generally, it's part of what we were doing right now, but this is now more formalized and is in a separate department. So when we discussed the background note for this, the idea was to say that on a daily basis, this is not during election time. Like I joke saying this is not a wartime activity, it's a peacetime activity. This is about every day. If there are certain issues, Gyan Vyapi, or any other issue, what are public's view about it? What do people think about this? Or it could be about, say, specific organization decisions, specific decisions on leaders, could be decisions on appointment of district presidents or candidates. We have to listen to people. So listening to people on a daily basis. And this, in today's modern world, we can do, there are tools to do this in a scientific, rigorous manner and in a timely manner. So we don't want to sacrifice quality for haste or to get results fast. But in today's India, we have the tools to do it in both a scientific manner and in a timely manner. So that's the idea behind this department, and this is to provide inputs for various things, from the communications department to leadership decisions to organizational decisions to state units to various issues.
So when we're talking about, kind of figuring out what the public thinks, there's also this, there's something else that Mr. Gandhi said, which is um, that the communication of the Congress party needs to reform. I think the words he used was it needs to completely reform. And he said that the communication also needs to be informed by subject matter experts. And for that, at least in the constitution, at least in the declaration, they have said that this means that social media, research, data, everything needs to come together under the communication department. So in terms of that, since the Shivir, is there kind of a roadmap on how the communication department is going to be changed, or is there some kind of overhaul that's being planned in the communication department?
Yeah, the specific changes I'm sure will be the details of which will be given by the communications department. But the idea was to have an integrated approach to communications. So it doesn't, necessarily mean okay, there'll be some restructuring and there'll be some hierarchical. I think the idea is to say that all of this, social media, research, and research includes data and those types of things, we must communicate ideas backed by solid research in a manner that is that connects with today's India. Remember, 65% of voters in every assembly constituency in today's India are less than the age of 45. So we are a very young country and we are not able to connect and communicate with today's India, and I think that's what they mean. But that also leads me to some of the organizational reforms that were.
I was just going to come to that.
Yeah. So the idea is communication is one part, but also we need a fresh and a new energy with new ideas in the party, in the organization. And I believe for that there were some very significant decisions that were taken and adopted in the resolution. One is, of course, the famous 50 under 50, which is 50% of posts and tickets for people below the age of 50 years. Second is the one family, one ticket idea, which only is to suggest that open up space for newer people, newer ideas. If you start opening up space, you will automatically get newer people who will come with newer ideas. And the third is the idea of term limits. And I believe there is also the idea of a retirement age, but I think if we do 50 under 50 and one family, one ticket, I think it'll automatically encompass. And I think a lot of these are some very significant decisions that have been taken. And I think the party is working very actively towards implementing it and walking the talk.
So the implementation actually is my last question to you, because I'm sure you've heard since the Shivir there has been constant discussion about the event, and I think that is something that the party has got right. Everybody is talking about it, but implementation is where a lot of people are asking the questions. That, say for example, 50 under 50, does the party have enough people that can say enough people under 50 who can form 50% of the CWC, for example. And this is something that even Mr. Markan, he had a press conference a couple of days ago, and he said that it has to be bottom up. You need to ensure 50% representation, in your block committees, in your mandal committees, and then go up. So it seems like a large process. It seems like something that will take a lot of effort and time. So how is the party looking at that? And I mean, not just, logistically, but also in terms of morale, because it does take a lot of, self-perseverance to take up something like that.
See, first and foremost, I think the first clear sign that the party is very serious about this is the fact that Mr. Gandhi, in his speech, actually highlighted two of the various decisions that were taken and adopted, which was the one family, one ticket, and the 50% below 50, 50 below 50. So that alone tells you that the party is quite serious about implementing this. You're right in being somewhat cynical or skeptical about the pace of implementation because it's a large party. But I do not agree with the suggestion or the implicit assertion that there is not enough talent of people below 50. I think this is one of the most extraordinarily talented political party in India, even today, even at its perhaps one of its lowest times. So there is enough talent. It is about opening up space for that talent to come up and be unleashed. And I think this process will certainly do that. And from whatever I can gather, I think the party is very serious about implementing and somewhat disrupting the organizational structure this time.
And when do you think, especially with 50 under 50, because I think all of us are very excited about that, when do you think we can see that, in flesh? When do you think we'll actually have a CWC meeting where we'll have 50% representation of people under 50? General time, like generic, if you could.
See, I think while you're focused on the CWC alone, I think you must also kind of start to test this in various appointments, be at the block level, at the state level, in tickets to various, elected offices, directly, indirectly. I think it is, the real test is, will it start to show up in a lot of these decisions over the next few weeks, few months.
And there are elections that are about to happen.
Correct. Elections, party positions, because the other important point which we did not talk about was the resolution where we must fill all vacancies. So if you have to fill all vacancies and you have to have 50% below 50 and you have one family, one ticket, then you will have to find people and do it quickly. So I actually think in the next few months, by September, I think you will see dramatically energized, revitalized Congress party.
So it's 3 months that, at least the resolution has promised that all the party posts which are vacant are going to be filled within 3 months. So we can say war footing for the Congress for the next 3 months?
Yes, and it's high time
Even though, as you said, it's not wartime, it's peacetime, but war footing within the party.
Yes, and it is high time that we get on a war footing. I think, and that's what the Udaipur Chintan Shivir has done, really. I think it was a very frank and candid discussion of everybody from, seniors to younger people. I think everyone realizes that the party needs to get on a war footing and reform itself, which is what we've embarked on.
All right, sir, thank you so much for speaking to us.